software development organisations that up until now were developing what they thought was software for the healthcare industry can in a lot of cases be now classified as a medical device, which now all of a sudden means they need to comply with the regulations. So why do they need to comply with the regulations? Well, if you want to market, you can develop a medical device, but if you do not comply with the regulations, you're never going to sell it. In order to be able to market it, you have to be able to comply with the regulatory requirements for the location where you're actually going to market that device. So if you want to market in the EU, you have to comply with the medical device directives and the harmonised standards in relation to that. If you want to market it within the US, you've got to comply with the FDA's guidance documents and regulatory requirements. And also, the various regulatory bodies will basically also recommend that you also adopt a number of harmonised and approved standards as well. So, it's not straightforward, particularly for organisations that are new to the domain. If you're a software company that is now moving into the medical device software domain for the first time, I get a lot of calls about this. What do we have to do, Fergal? So, here's what they have to do. There's a number of different standards. If you want to sell your product in the US, you've got to comply with the FDA. And if you want to sell it in Europe, you've got to comply with the EU directives. So, the FDA, I've got one document listed up there, but that breaks down into a number of different regulatory documents and guidance material. We also have the 3 different EU directives, plus importantly for software, the amendment, which is probably the key part now. What is actually quite useful now in this past while is that if you wanted to market a medical device in the US and you also wanted to market it in Europe, you had to put 2 different quality management systems in place. One that satisfied the FDA's requirements and one that satisfied the European requirements for quality management systems, which was 13485. Now the FDA will accept 13485 as the quality management system. So at least that makes something a little bit more simple for us. As I mentioned previously, the core standard in terms of medical device software processes, we're process people, so the area we're concerned with is processes. 62304 is the international standard for medical device software lifecycle processes. And it's basically a core area of interest for organisations. How you demonstrate the safety and integrity of your medical device is through the software process that you have defined and also proven that you have actually implemented. So processes are key. Also, it's safety critical software you're developing. So you need to basically comply and align yourself with the risk management standard for medical devices 14971. There's also a guidance document which is specific to how you apply 14971 for software, which is 80002-1, which I think should be looked at as well. Usability is becoming more and more important within the medical device domain. You can actually develop the best product in the world, the best medical device in the world, software processes, in terms of best practice software processes, have not been used that widely within the industry. However, there is a requirement for highly effective and safe medical device software development processes to be in place. So even though they haven't been adopted, it is probably the key industry that requires high quality software processes to be in place, because in order to demonstrate the safety of your device, that is done through the integrity of your processes. That first of all you have defined, clear and well documented software processes to demonstrate what your template for developing the software will be. And secondly, that you can actually provide objective evidence of how they have actually been followed. It's not enough just to define them, you also have to be able to basically stand over them, to say who is it that implemented them, who are the designated responsible people that were basically done something in a particular period of time. Where's your objective evidence? So there's been no domain-specific medical device software process assessment improvement model available prior to the MediSPICE one. changed very considerably over this past number of years. Principally around the revision of the Medical Device Directive, or the amendment to the Medical Device Directive. And mobile apps are a huge area of growth. You basically can get mobile apps for almost anything now, particularly in terms of the medical device domain. But very few of them are actually classified as medical devices. And a lot of them will say that they're not to be treated as a medical device, that they're not to be treated for any clinical usage. And that means that they don't have to be defined as a medical device. However, we have been working along with a number of companies. We've worked this year along with the first company in Europe to actually be certified as a mobile app to get a CE mark. And as a result of that, that company now has increased substantially the amount of sales because it can actually be treated as a medical device. So there's lots of reasons for marketing purposes and for safety purposes why organisations should go down the route of thinking that their healthcare app is in fact a medical device. So it's probably not something companies should completely fear. So the first thing, if you're developing healthcare software and you want to find out if it's actually a medical device you're developing, what's the actual steps for doing that? So define some of the steps here. So you basically want to look first and see, is the software actually, is it a medical device? Does it fall under the definition of a medical device? And I'm not going to go into those definitions now because anyone who was in the workshop the last day will see that they take quite a bit of time. And Marion's chomping at the bit here as well. She's told me under no circumstances to run over my allocated time, so I'm running scared at this stage. The next thing is, if it is a medical device, what standards do you need to be aware of? If you want to market it in Europe, what are the standards? If you want to market it in the US, what do we need to do? Then to basically look at your current software development processes and practices and try and benchmark them against the recommended best practices for medical device software development. So the lightweight assessment that we have developed enables companies to do that quite quickly. So what we basically recommend is to basically adopt a MedTrace assessment, see how you are in terms of your traceability processes. And then also to adopt a MediSPICE adept assessment as well, to basically identify what are your strengths, what are you good at in terms of medical device software development, even though you haven't thought of developing it yet. What are the issues? And to provide them with a set of recommendations. Nextly then, to prioritise those recommendations, picking off a few at a time. And then after a period of time, embark upon another MediSPICE adept or MedTrace assessment until you come to a stage where you basically feel confident enough that you could go forward to go for a full regulatory compliant assessment. So follow-up assessment either provide more recommendations or an indication to proceed for an official assessment. So in terms of the lightweight assessment, each of the lightweight assessment methods have been welcomed by the medical device software industry, particularly within Ireland. We have used these really within Ireland. In addition to being a valued industry, the implementation of each of the assessments has allowed key aspects of MediSPICE to be tested and refined in an industrial setting. So it's helped us actually validate the model as we've been developing it as well. So we've been validating it in a number of ways. We've been validating it through looking at experts within the medical device community and the software process community as well. But this is also providing us with a more grounded industry validation of the model as well. So this has provided relevant feedback which has been documented and incorporated into subsequent iterations of MediSPICE. So as we have seen things we need to change, we're basically introducing them and changing them. So this is an important element of the development of MediSPICE, as this was an additional element of the rationale and development of the lightweight assessment methods. So our plan at the end of MediSPICE is that we will have an official assessment, but we'll always have lightweight assessments to bring companies up to speed. The keynote yesterday mentioned the MediSPICE trial which took place in Brom, which Richard was a central part of, where we basically 13 of the processes were used. And as you basically saw from the keynote yesterday, Brom found the assessment actually very valuable, and we encourage other organisations to adopt that as well. So in cooperation with the company, 3 automotive SPICE assessors agreed to undertake the MediSPICE training. So assessment took place over a 5-day period, and the assessment process and final report were very positively received. Because there was a keynote on that yesterday, I'm not going into any more than that. It's now time for me to hand over the baton. I'll be back later for the actual US book. Yeah.
So what I choose first of all, that Val couldn't make it, and you have to listen to me MediSPICE these couple of days now. So everything that is concerned in medical devices, the security, the safety, the software at the system level, the agile, everything is in the focus of our research center. Thank you. As Fergal said, I thought that we are not going to sing actually, but you know, the disharmony of standards would be illustrated very well with when Fergal sings all alone.
moves over from normal automotive spice or normal spice to MediSPICE, without that knowledge of risk management in hazard and risk management, you will be totally overworked. Okay? So there must be a specific training in the future. That will be my question to you. Yeah? Do we plan, or do you plan, yeah, that we have a kind of conversion training where, you know, the automotive assessor group is very big. You know, we have now 800 certified assessors listed, and it's quite a lot of assessors. And some of them work, of course, for electronic companies who do both. You know, develop some sensors for automotive and other sensors for medical. Yeah, like Siemens. You know, both directions. Yeah, or Electrobit we have seen here, a sensor for medical, but devices and operating system for automotive. So we have many examples in both worlds. Yeah? And do we plan some kind of small training so that we take these people who are assessors and move them to MediSPICE to get a huge market?
Yes, that's exactly the plan. So
Yeah.
it's how we're actually doing
Yeah.
that.
Or to train spice assessors to be MediSPICE assessors.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, also.
And the plan
Yeah.
would be then that it would be rolled out through those guys, yeah.
Yeah, because that said, I see here, for instance, also other companies sitting here like Michael, yeah, from SimSpace, and these are principal assessors, and they can move. You know,
Yeah.
when we move these companies, then or the assessors, then we move the whole market. Yeah.
You know, that's exactly our vision, that basically that we would see the assessors as being automotive spice assessors,
Yeah.
basically have got safety training as well. Could
Yeah.
basically then be trained up on the model and become assessors for MediSPICE.
Yeah, but first they need the training because risk hazard and risk management is not just risk management. It's something where you have a specific understanding of what risks we talk about. Yeah.
We still have time for, we can discuss a few minutes, please. Yeah.
same for B. Brown